Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to mint tokens and NFTs on Cardano using the Cardano CLI. So first we're going to upload our token and NFT images to IPFS, which is a decentralized file storing protocol. So to upload our images to IPFS, we're going to use Blockfrost. So all you have to do is go to blockfrost.io, press Build Apps Now. Then you can choose to log in with your email or with Google, GitHub, or GitLab. That's up to you. Once you do that, and you go to your dashboard, you have an option to add a project. So you click that, you add a project name, and then you choose a network. In this case, we'll have to pick IPFS, and then you just save the project. Once you do that, it'll show you a API key here, and then you just copy that, and that'll be used to upload your images. So to upload our images to IPFS, we're going to use this command right here. And I'll have all the commands in a Google Docs down in the description, so you can follow along with what I'm doing right here. So first file will be our, actually let me show you. So yeah, here we have our silver token. We'll have a gold token, so that'll be for our tokens. And then we have a NFT, which is just a PNG file for our NFT. So first we'll upload the silver token. So for the file here, we'll have silver_token.png. So for the project ID, this is where you'll have to put in your own API key. And then the URL will be the same. And of course, the file is the URL to the file that you want to upload. So in this case, it's silvertoken.png. And once you upload it or you press enter, you'll get a IPFS hash back. And you'll have to copy that and just take note of it somewhere. So next we will use the same command that we used before, except we will upload the gold token. Same thing here. You have the IPFS hash. You copy that, paste it somewhere where you can get it later. And then lastly, we'll have our NFT. And again, copy this and save it somewhere for later. So next thing we'll have to do is add a IPFS pin for each of our files. So that will be done through another API call right here. All you have to do is add the first image's IPFS hash to the end of this call. So pin/add/ and then the IPFS hash. So when you press enter here, you can see here state is pinned. For you, it might say queued here, but that's fine. You just wait a couple minutes and it should show as pinned. So yeah, we'll do this for every file. And to confirm that these files are properly pinned, all you have to do is go to ipfs.blockfrost.dev and then /IPFS/ and then the IPFS hash. And this now, if we press enter, will show our gold token. We can check the other ones as well. This will be a silver one, and then our NFT. Oops. There you go. So we're all good to go. And then now that we have our IPFS hashes for our images, what we'll also have to do is add them to our token_meta and NFT_meta.json. Again, those two files will be available in the description below. These meta.json files will be what we are submitting in our minting transaction. And this metadata is what the websites and all the explorers are able to use to reference to your tokens and NFTs images. So it's a standard that was suggested by, let's see here, I think it was Alessandro Conrad. And he suggested a standard for the metadata so that if everyone follows the same standard, we can all use that to display our NFTs and tokens properly. So inside of this object, we'll have our policy ID, which we'll get later, but for now, it's just a placeholder. And then we have our two tokens. For the NFT, it's the same thing, policy ID, but then we only have our one item rather than two tokens. So yeah. essentially what we can now do is update our IPFS, our image here. Instead of this placeholder, we will put in our hash like this, and then same for this for the gold token. Yeah, and that's it for now. We'll also update the policy ID once we get to it, but for now it's just the images. So we can save that. Here we'll also update the IPFS hash to the correct one and save that. So that's good for now, and later on we'll update the policy ID. Okay, so now we're ready to create and fund our minting wallet. The wallet we'll use to mint our tokens and NFT. So first we will cd into our private folder, and then we will make a directory called demo wallet. You can name it whatever you want. We'll also change directory into that demo wallet, and then we will create our payment keys. So that's just the Cardano CLI command to create our payment verification key as well as our payment signing key. And then from that, we can create our address. And if we go list all of that, we have our payment address and we have our two keys. And if we go cat payment address, so what we'll do is we'll copy this, and then we'll go to our Daedalus, and then we'll press send right here. We'll paste our address, we'll send 5 ADA to it, and then we'll press send, and I'll have to use my ledger to be able to send this, and I'll be back once I finish that. So now that we send our 5 ADA to the address, we can check the balance of the address with this command here, Cardano CLI query UTXO, and it uses the payment address that we have just created. And we can see here under this transaction hash, we have an amount of 5 million lovelets, which is 5 ADA, and we're good to go. So the first thing we want to do is create our token policy. For that, we will create a new folder inside of our wallet called policy. And inside of this folder, we will need to generate some keys. And these keys are the policy keys, which allow you to create and sign for minting tokens and NFTs. And you can see them right here, policy signing key and a policy verification key. So next up, what we'll have to do is get the key hash for our policy verification key, which is this command right here. Cardano CLI address key hash, and it uses the policy V key. So we press enter here, and we get this hash, which we'll have to note down as well. And next, we're going to create our actual token policy.script file. For that, we'll create another folder to keep it organized, make directory policy/tokens, and then we'll have a policy/NFT for the NFT. Then we will create a file called token_policy.script, and then we will nano into that file in order to edit it like this. And then we will paste in our policy script, which looks like this. Here's where we put our policy verification key hash. And yeah, that's all we have to change here. Then we press Ctrl-O to overwrite the existing file, press enter, and then Ctrl-X. And then we can see here under policy tokens, we have a token policy script. And now from this policy script, that's where we get our policy ID. So we run this command right here, Cardano CLI transaction policy ID. And then the script file is the one that we just created, which is under policy, tokens, and token policy script. And then what we'll do is we will put this policy ID into a new file called policy.id. So that way we can refer to it later on. We don't have to write it out every time. And now if you look at our tokens, we have our policy ID. If we cat the policy ID, we can see here this is going to be our token policy ID. So what we'll do with this is we'll copy that. And remember how we have our meta.json files. Now we can actually replace this policy ID with the one that we just created. Yeah, so now this is finished and ready to go. And now we go back, clear that. First we'll create a token meta.json, and then we will nano into it, just like we did before. And now, since we have our metadata, it's all ready to go. We can select it all, copy, and then go back here and paste it. And just to double check here, this is our hashes, our name, gold coin, and this is our policy ID, and our metadata standard 721. So this looks all good. Control O, enter, Control X. And now we are ready to actually mint our tokens, since we have our policy ready to go and we have our metadata as well. And one thing, if you're not 100% sure if your metadata is correct, what you can do is grab this metadata, and then there's a Pool.pm test/metadata page, where what you do is you paste it in here, and you actually can see what your NFT or tokens look like on Pool.pm. So we can see here the name is gold coin, which comes from this right here. Oh, actually this one, gold coin. Quantity is also something that the actual minting process will define. So it's just saying 1 for now. Once we mint our tokens, we'll create 1,000 of each. So this will change to 1,000. And then here we can also see our policy ID, or just the beginning part of it. And over here, you can actually select your asset. So we have 2 assets, as you can see here, 1 and 2, silver and gold. So we can check both and make sure that they're both good. Okay, so now we're ready to mint our tokens. What we'll do for that is we'll get our transaction hash that we need for building our minting transaction. And we'll actually copy that and again, write it down on the side here. And then what we'll get here is a transaction draft. So Cardano CLI transaction, build raw. We'll have our transaction fee of 0.18 ADA, or 188,000 Loveless. And here we have our transaction in, which is our transaction hash, plus the index, which is identified by the number sign and the index it's currently at, which is 0. And then the rest doesn't really matter. We'll change that. But here we have our transaction out to our own payment address. So what we'll do is we'll send, essentially we'll send our balance to our own address. Plus we'll mint 1,000 of the silver tokens or silver coins, and then 1,000 of the gold coins. And then here we define what's being minted, which is 1,000 silver coins, which the format for this is policy ID, and then a period, and then the name of the coin or the token. So in this case, it has to be exactly silver coin, because this is what we have in our metadata. You can see right here. And yeah, so this part has to match with what you do in your minting transaction. So same thing here, 1,000, we print out our policy ID, and for this one it's gold coin. Minting script file is in our policy/tokens/token_policy.script, and then our metadata is in the same folder, except it's token meta.json. And what we'll get is a token_tx for transaction.raw. We'll press enter for that. And now to calculate our exact transaction fee, what we'll do is we will get the protocol parameters with this command here. You only have to do this once you have it once you have it right here, protocol.json, you don't have to redo this every time. So we just do this once, and now we can calculate our minimum fee, and it spits out the 188,865 Loveless, or 0.18 ADA. So we will copy this and we will update our transaction. And then also what we'll do is we will calculate how much change we have to send back to our own address. So we'll do that by taking our current balance, which is 5 ADA, and we'll subtract the transaction fee, because that's our only cost. This here now is our updated transaction. So you can see here 0.188 865 is our fee. The transaction in hasn't changed. The transaction out hasn't changed, except for our change, which is 4.811135 ADA. And then we have still our 1,000 silver coins and our 1,000 gold coins. And in the minting transaction, nothing has changed and everything else is the same. So we'll press enter. And now we're ready to sign the transaction. Now it's signed. And now we're ready to mint our tokens. So the transaction was successfully submitted, which means we should be good to go. But to confirm, what we can do is we can print out our payment address again. Copy that. And then we go to Pool.pm / and this address. And then here we go. So our address now has only 4.8 ADA as a balance and 2 tokens of count or quantity 2,000. And to be able to see both tokens, right now it just shows one of them because both tokens were created under the same policy ID, which means it just shows them bunched up as one. So what you do is you just click on this, and now it filters by this policy ID, which now has 2 tokens, each with 1,000 in count. And then you can see here the policy ID is the same. Gold coin, silver coin, and we're good to go. You can click on this separately. And here for the policy ID, where it has the question mark, since we did not lock our policy, this will be this should show a open lock once we register our policy, which we can do right here. So you click on this, and it will open this window right here. And now we have to paste in our policy ID, our policy script. To get our policy, we just go back to our notes right here, paste it in here. You can see here this policy has a lock with a line through it, which means this policy is unlocked. So whoever created these tokens can mint more tokens later on. So in this case, we'll register this. Yep, that's good to go. We'll close this. And now if we refresh, right here, you see now it's a unlocked policy instead of the question mark. Okay, so now we're ready to create our NFT policy. So essentially it's the same process, except the policy will be slightly different because we want to lock this policy. And for that, we will get our key hash again, our policy key hash, which is the same as before, but we'll do it just for good practice. We'll make sure we save that. And then since we want to lock this policy, what we'll do is we'll get the current slot number, which you can get with the Cardano CLI command query tip. And that will show you the current slot number right here. So we'll write that down. And we will take that current slot number and we'll add 1800 seconds. So that gives us half an hour to finish up the transaction and submit it. And then after that half an hour, the policy will be locked and you can no longer mint another NFT under the same policy. So this is what you usually want for NFTs, because otherwise somebody could create another duplicate NFT under the same policy. So we'll do this. All right, so now we have the slot that the policy will be locked after. So we'll write that down as well. And now what we'll do is we'll create another directory, policy/NFT this time. And then we'll create a NFT policy.script. And again, we'll nano into that policy script. We will paste our new policy script JSON. In this case, it's pretty much identical to our token script, except we're adding the locking functionality with the slot that we have calculated earlier. So this means that this policy will lock after this slot has been reached. So we'll do Control O to overwrite and Control X. And then again, now that we have our policy script, we can get our policy ID. We'll do Cardano CLI transaction policy ID, and we'll also write it into a policy.id file. Press enter here, and then we can do cat policy NFT policy ID. And now we'll just copy this policy ID. We'll go back to our NFT Meta JSON, and we will update this placeholder here with the new policy ID. Name will have new NFT. We also have a description in here, the newest and most amazing NFT, and you can make that whatever you want, of course. And then we have our IPFS hash, and if you wanted to, you can, for example, add characteristics, for example. And this can be an array with cool and awesome. I don't know, this is just an example. So now we can go back to our the testing page here. We'll paste it in, and we can see here characteristics, cool, awesome. It has the artist, it has the description, and then the name is up here. So new NFT, and it shows our image. So we're good to go on that end. Now all we have to do is, again, we have to create our NFT Meta.json. We'll again nano into it, and then we'll go back to our metadata. We'll take it all and we'll copy it. Copy all of that. Go back here, and then press Control O, enter, Control X. Clear all of that. And yeah, now we're ready to mint our actual NFT. And for that, we have to check our UTXO balance. So now, since we minted our transaction earlier with our coins or tokens, we also have those inside of our transaction hash. So it has our 4.8 ADA, as well as 1,000 gold coins and 1,000 silver coins. So you can see here, this is the policy ID, and then period, and then the name of the coin or the token. So now what we'll have to do is we'll take this transaction hash, we'll make note of that, we'll make a draft of our transaction here. So yeah, doesn't matter if it's perfectly accurate just yet. Now we will calculate our minimum fee with the same command that we had earlier. So we have, this is the minimum fee. We'll do expression, we'll take our ADA balance or our loveless balance, and we'll subtract our minimum fee, paste it in here. And then we have our new change. So we'll update that in our transaction. We'll also update our transaction fee. There you go. So now we have our updated fee, and we updated our transaction out to include our 1,000 silver coin tokens as well as our gold coins. And we have as well our NFT that we're minting, which again it shows here in the mint parameter. It shows 1 and then new NFT. So, and this one here has to be the same as what we have written in our metadata. So the new NFT key right here has to be the same as the name of the actual NFT. And then minting script file, we have the NFT policy, and the metadata JSON file is the NFT Meta.json. And then the invalid hereafter has to match what we have written in our NFT policy. So it has to be the same slot number. So we'll press enter here. And now we will sign the transaction, and we will submit the transaction. And there we go. Transaction submitted successfully. And then now again to see our NFT, we can go to get our payment address. We'll copy that again. And we'll go to Pool.pm / our address. And there we go. There's our NFT. And our so it says 3 tokens. One is our NFT, and then we have here again, when you click on it, you can see the silver and the gold coins with 1,000 quantity each. Let's get rid of that. And then here you can see our NFT with quantity 1 and the policy ID and the name. And if we click on it, new NFT has its asset ID, and then quantity is just 1. Have our picture, we have artist, Picasso, characteristics, and our description. And now you see here the policy still has the question mark. So what we'll do is we'll click on that. And then here we have to again paste our policy.script, what we have written in there. Do that. And then here you can see it's a policy that is currently unlocked, but this policy will be locked on today's date at 20:52:57, which is in about 20 minutes. So we'll register this, and that's all good to go. And I'll wait those 20 minutes, and I'll come back when the policy is locked to show you how that looks like. All right, so now we can see here the policy is locked. So if we click on it, it shows here this policy is locked since and the same date that we had before. So now nobody can create another NFT with the same policy ID since the policy is locked. And that's it. So now we created 2 tokens with 1,000 quantity each, and we created 1 NFT with a locked policy so that we can't create another NFT with the same policy ID. And I hope that all made sense to you and gave you some insights in how it all works. And if you do have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll answer those questions for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys next time.